This video is not intended to replace the care of your doctor, but to add to it. Check with your doctor before using any of the steps in Good News About Sad Views. If you suspect you may have depression, it could be caused by a medical problem. This video is our journalistic opinion from extensive research. We find the procedures in this video work best when depression is triggered by compulsive negative thinking.
If we were to make a list of our negative thoughts, our list would probably look different than yours. Make a list if you need to. You will also need to make a list of a coinciding positive reframe that makes sense to you. We'll show you our list and our reframes and how Jennifer learned to look at everything in a different light, or again, what we will call a positive reframe. I am too fat. I will take at least one positive step today toward losing weight. People don't like me. There are some that do. My health is terrible. Well, let's see what we can do to improve it. Why did she or he leave me? I can't say why. I can start anew. Why did I lose that job? I can't say why. I can look forward to finding one I enjoy more. Why did my spouse have to die? I can't say. It was a great relationship, something to be thankful for. Why did we have to split up? I don't know. And to feel hurt now is only natural, but the intensity of the feeling is only temporary. Actually, asking yourself why something happened is an unanswerable question if you did not have direct control over the situation. Why questions lead to hurtful thinking and can trigger depression in some people. We left the question why in our reframes because it is so typical. There are many times when you can't answer why you did something, let alone why someone else did something. Sometimes things just happen. That's the way it is. It would help to stop asking yourself why questions, questions you or your subconscious can't possibly answer. Accepting the fact that we don't always have complete control over our lives and even less control over others will go a long way toward recovery. Jennifer does not consider I am okay as a reframe. Recovery will take more than I am okay. First of all, you know you're not okay, and okay does not give you a positive direction or goal. Are you starting to get the picture? A positive reframe would have to give the subconscious a realistic answer and a positive direction. It is realistic to take one positive step today toward your goal, or to find another job, or to have a new relationship, or even just to stop asking yourself why this or why that. Some negative thoughts won't be so easy to reframe, but there is usually something redeeming in every situation. It could even be the simple fact that whatever it was is behind you now. Every positive reframe you can substitute for a negative thought will bring you closer to recovery. Use your positive reframe every time you have a negative thought, and I mean every time. It's a way of helping to balance your negative thoughts and start the healing process for your subconscious. You can consciously do this. Eventually, the subconscious will give up those negative thoughts and start agreeing with your positive reframe. Even better yet, you will start acting on them. Did you think of a positive reframe you could use? Pat yourself on the back even for this small step. Each step brings you closer to recovery. You are probably being harder on yourself right now than anyone else is. When the world around us is falling apart, it seems natural to fault ourselves. If you made a mistake, at least you were trying. Hopefully you will learn by your mistakes. Hey, here's another positive reframe for you. Lose some, win a lot. No one has ever gone back in time and changed it. We can only go forward and use what we have learned. It may seem like a platitude, but it is important we get the message across. Nothing is worth the depression that you are feeling right now. Exercise daily by being kind to yourself and by changing any self-defeatist attitudes. For example, If you are telling yourself over and over, I can't beat it, or I will never get over it, just stop and think about the awesome hurdle you're placing in front of yourself. Advertising companies use this technique of repetitive messages, but in a positive way, to convince you how nothing else cleans like the new and improved cleaner, or no product works as fast as their product, or aren't you hungry for? Whatever self-defeating chants you hear yourself saying, change them to positive chants. I can beat this. I will get over this in time. I can do this, or at least I can try. Whenever you get a self-defeating thought, and you know what they are, tell yourself, it's silly thinking that way. Excessive negative thinking is a side effect of my depression and not based on reality. Replace those negative thoughts with your positive reframe every time. The more you replace those negative thoughts, the less you will have them. Jennifer found this to be a very rewarding mental exercise. Try it for yourself. Did I hear someone say it's not that easy? Remember, this is a work tape and you must at least be willing to work on it. Yes, you can. It may not be easy, but it is possible. In time, you will master this part of the work tape as well. Negative thoughts will fade out entirely because of neglect. Antidepressant medication will also help break this cycle of repetitive negative thinking. Let's start now with our own positive internal advertising campaign. Here's another tool you can start using today. Rather than thinking all day about your dilemma, set aside an hour a day for personal time. Tell yourself when you have those painful thoughts, I will save these thoughts for my personal time when I can give it my full attention. Eventually, cut that hour down to a half an hour, and then maybe 15 minutes. By setting aside and devoting quiet personal time to your thoughts, you will be able to guide your thoughts in a more positive direction. Determine if your problem can be changed. If it can be changed, set up a positive plan to change it. In some cases, there is no closure or resolve. Use this reframe. Tell yourself, I accept the things I cannot change. Come on, say it now with me. I accept the things I cannot change. Again, I accept the things I cannot change. This is just another great mental exercise you can give yourself. If I say I accept the things I cannot change, sounds a little like a prayer, that's because it is. 12-step programs often use it. And it goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. As you might guess, Jennifer also renewed her relationship with her higher power. With a strong faith, she could turn her problems over to her higher power and really mean it. It can't just be lip service. She found out what let go and let God was all about. She felt a lot of comfort and relief once she could do this. Also, once she started living according to how her higher power would have her live, she found great peace coming from within herself. Jennifer found out how important forgiveness of herself and others really was. Of course, if you're a confirmed agnostic, you could write your problems down on a piece of paper, put it in a jar, and bury it in the backyard. It would always be there if you wanted to look it up. It might surprise you to look at the list in 6 months. Some of the problems would have taken care of themselves, while other problems no longer hold as much importance as they once did. No doubt other people, possibly even loved ones, have made comments to you that have hurt. They may not understand the pain you're going through right now. You can't expect them to understand unless they also have had personal experience with depression. Let's look at some of the additional mental tools you can start using today. You may have to really think about them, but they will apply in most cases. What is more important? Our interpretation of a comment or the well-meaning intentions of the giver. Jennifer has a relative that, in Jennifer's mind, was always making hurtful comments like, just snap out of it, or I told you it wouldn't work out, or your dead relative is better off now. Our friends or relatives may not make the most tactful comments, but Most of the time, they're making the comment out of concern for our well-being. Once Jennifer realized this and used her reframe, she started giving her relative an A for effort instead of an F for content. Of course, another way to look at it is they just earned a C average. Who among us always knows the right thing to say? All the time, every time. I personally am always lost at a funeral other than how terribly sorry I am, and if there's anything I can do, you know the rest. I do, however, give my comments out of love and concern. Jennifer had fewer hurtful situations once she started giving credit for her relative's concern. Jennifer started giving others and herself the right to be human. Also, consider the source. Who gave the comment? Do you respect them? Have they set a good example? Are they speaking from experience? Would you want to live their life? Jennifer stopped dwelling on hurtful comments from a lot of her family and friends once she considered the source. If she highly respected the source, there could be some helpful suggestions in their comments, even if they were perceived as hurtful. We all have a tendency toward wanting the people closest to us to be wise, sensitive, witty, caring, and always thinking as we do and saying what we want to hear. Jennifer loved her relative, even though the comments were hurtful, at least the way Jennifer had perceived them. This had gone on for as long as Jennifer could remember. This relative would just blurt out whatever he was thinking. That's just the way he was. Jennifer had to consider whether or not she was being realistic about what she expected from this relative. Jennifer knew how hard a major change in her own life was. Could she really expect her relative to make a complete change in his personality? Of course not. Jennifer was not being realistic. When Jennifer applied this reality check to losing her last job, she realized she was not being singled out. Her company let several others go in a downsizing effort. She was eventually hired at a growing company that was upsizing. Another bit of reality is that others who were let go from the same job as Jennifer's were actually very happy to be let go. They looked at the dismissal as a short break and a chance to find a better job. Your exercise here would be to evaluate each situation that you find hurtful. Are you being realistic in your expectations? If not, tell yourself, be realistic here. It would be unrealistic to expect whatever it is that you expect to happen. Possibly your company to keep you while they let others go, or your relatives to start changing his personality and responses. Be realistic. Jennifer is not saying never get mad under any circumstance. In fact, anger has been an emotion that had been missing in Jennifer's life ever since her depression started. Getting mad or angry at times instead of just being hurt is a good, normal, healthy response at the appropriate times. You may want to reserve your comments, though, until you have had a chance to think them through. If you feel the urge to get physical, exercise or take a self-defense course or find a punching bag to take it out on. You could also find a place to just shout it out. For years now, Jennifer's relative would make a hurtful comment, and Jennifer would snap back. A fight would ensue, and Jennifer would always feel bad afterwards. If Jennifer just kept her feelings to herself, she felt even worse. What mental tool could Jennifer use for this situation? She certainly needed one. The answer was so simple, Jennifer wondered why it hadn't occurred to her sooner. Jennifer would communicate differently with different people. When she ordered a pizza from the local shop, she would always speak slow and loud. Gina was hard of hearing, and she wanted her order right. Jennifer would never ask one of the girls at work, "How are you?" The answers were always too depressing and too long. Instead, Jennifer would shout out, "Good morning, Beth." Her boss's pet peeve was when Jennifer would reply with, "What?" instead of, "Yes, Jim." All this time, and Jennifer had never learned how to reply to her relatives' comments. She has been responding in the same way and getting the same responses, bad ones. What would work with this relative? Jennifer started her mental list. She was almost looking forward to trying out her list. This could be fun. She might try, "Would you repeat that?" "I'm not sure I heard you right," or "I found that comment offensive. Did you mean it that way?" Jennifer went on to find a great way to communicate with her relative, and they are now the best of friends. Your exercise here would be the same. Find new ways to communicate that will end in meaningful communications instead of a battle you don't need. Have some fun with it. It will be worth the effort. Jennifer also developed other mental tools she could use to handle comments that bothered her. How important are other people's opinions and comments really? Everyone has a right to his opinions. Most of these comments would never affect Jennifer in any way. Are they really that important? The mental exercise practiced here: stop taking the comments personally.
Really, I'll be able to help you with it in just a moment. I just have to get some notes. I'm sorry. Can you hold on a moment? Can you just hold on a moment? I'm sorry.
Everyone runs into certain personalities they may never agree with. The rude clerk at the checkout, the grumpy mailman, the grouchy coworker. In reality, Jennifer realized her contact with these grumpy personalities amounted to a few seconds a day. In effect, if she dwelled on these people, she was making her contact with them last a lot longer. She could easily handle a few seconds or minutes now and then. Jennifer at times still found these situations hard to handle, even when she took into consideration that her mental health and well-being were at stake. As is the case with many depressives, Jennifer was a caring, sensitive person. Apathy was a stretch for her. Empathy and sympathy were, however, close at hand. Surely some, if not all, of these grumpy, grouchy, angry, hurtful people were showing outward signs of a very unhappy life. Jennifer found if she exercised a little empathy, sympathy, compassion, and accepted these situations with a grain of salt, hurtful encounters were a lot easier to accept. Be cautious with the feelings of empathy here. You want to avoid feeling like they do.